Episode 9. Turned slightly and saw him seated on a wooden bench beneath a large, blossoming tree. His posture was relaxed, one arm draped over the back of the bench. Yet his gaze never left me. It was as if his eyes were protecting me, watching over me like a silent guardian. The way he looked at me wasn't like the cold stares I was used to. It wasn't cruel, nor was it demanding. It was something else entirely. For the first time in a long time, I felt safe. But just then something happened. Someone grabbed my arm ugly from behind, yanking me backward. My heart pounded as I spun around, my breath hitching. Even though it was still early in the evening, the garden was nearly empty. A sudden wave of confusion washed over me. Who here would even know me? I turned nervously, only to come face to face with Krista, my older sister. Her dark eyes burned with fury as she glared at me. "What are you doing here, huh?" she snapped, her voice dripping with venom. Krista had never once treated me like a human being, let alone a sister. Every moment in our parents' house had been a reminder of how much she despised me. Whenever it was her turn to give me food, she would soak it in water or overload it with pepper, filling my cup with dirty water just to watch me suffer. And now, she was standing before me, her hot tread as strong as ever. "Why are you just standing there staring at me, huh?" she sneered. "I see how money-hungry you've become, leaving your dog husband at home." I stiffened, my hands clenching into fists at my sides. All my life, I had been trained to stay silent. No matter how much they hurt me, I was never allowed to talk back. But not this time. A tall man strolled toward us, his eyes gleaming with interest. "Is this the Slavi sister you told me about?" he asked, smirking. "Yes, honey," Krista cooed, wrapping her arm around his. "Pathetic, isn't it? A worthless gold digger who couldn't even stand the sight of her animal husband. I bet she's in this garden looking for some handsome guy to entertain her since her asked of a husband can't satisfy her." She laughed cruelly, but my patience had reached its breaking point. "I can tolerate every vile thing you say about me," I said, my voice steady. "But do not bring my husband into this. He may be cursed, but I chose to stay by his side, and I will not let you insult him." Krista's eyes flashed with rage. "How dare you talk back to me?" she hissed, raising her hand to slap me. I braced myself for the impact, my body tensing as I prepared for the familiar sting of pain. But it never came. Ryder's paw. Just as Krista's hand was about to strike Yolone's cheek, a large, manly palm caught her wrist midair, twisting it slightly. A sharp gasp of pain escaped Krista's lips as she turned to see who had dared to stop her. Standing tall beside them was a handsome man with piercing blue eyes. Zach, Alone's husband. Ink faintly under the garden lights, were cold and unreadable. "I suggest," Zach said, his voice smooth yet deadly, "you lower your hand before you regret it." Krista let out a shaky laugh, trying to mask her discomfort. "And who are you to tell me what to do?" she spat. His expression didn't change. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, his grip still firm. "I am who you aren't worthy of knowing. So you have got the guts to cheat of your dog husband, huh? Mom and Daddy are gonna hear of this," she uttered. The man beside her, her so-called boyfriend, stepped forward, puffing out his chest. "Husband or not, you shouldn't interfere in family matters," he said smugly. Zach turned his gaze to the man, studying him with a look so calm it was terrifying. Then, in one swift motion, he released Krista's wrist and stepped in front of me. "I wasn't going to interfere if you didn't raise your hand on her," Zach said, slipping a protective arm around my waist. "I was protecting what's mine." Krista's nostrils flared in rage. "Oh, so now you're pretending to care about her? What? Is she your new pet now?" Zach's lips twitched, not in anger, but in amusement. "What if she is? And if you touch her again?" He leaned slightly closer, his voice dropping to something dark, dangerous. "You won't have a hand left to raise." Krista took a step back, her confidence faltering. For the first time, she looked afraid. Her boyfriend scoffed. "Chi-Chi, come on, babe. Let's go. This isn't worth our time." But before leaving, Zach's gaze lingered on me, his blue eyes still smoldering from the confrontation. He took a step closer, his voice lower this time. "I will never let anyone hurt you alone," he said firmly. "Not even your own blood." I swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. I wasn't used to being protected. I wasn't used to mattering. A cool breeze brushed past us, rustling the flowers in the garden. Zach's expression softened as he reached for my hand, his touch surprisingly gentle. "Come," he said, guiding me toward a wooden bench beneath a tree. "Sit with me for a while." I hesitated at first, but eventually sat beside him. The fragrance of fresh flowers filled the air, calming my nerves. I glanced at him from the corner of my eye. He was staring ahead, his posture relaxed, but I could tell he was watching me, protecting me. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The silence wasn't uncomfortable, though. It felt safe. Then, Zach finally broke the silence. "Do you like it here?" I blinked, caught off guard by the question. "Yes," I admitted quietly. "It's beautiful." He nodded as if pleased with my answer. "Good. I want you to enjoy moments like this." I looked at him fully this time, studying his features. The glow in his blue eyes had dimmed slightly, making them appear more human. The man before me was still a mystery, a beast trapped in human form. The man before me was still a mystery, a beast trapped in human form. And yet, for some reason, I felt safer beside him than I ever did in my own home. "Zach," I whispered before I could stop myself. He turned his head slightly, his gaze locking onto mine. "Yes?" I hesitated, my fingers curling into my dress. There was so much I wanted to ask, so much I didn't understand. But instead, I simply said, "Thank you." For the first time, a real smile curved his lips. And for the first time in my life, I smiled back. Few days later, the days had been peaceful. Aside from the day he took me to the garden, I hadn't set eyes on him. Neither had I seen him anywhere around the mansion. Each time I asked the maids about the boss, they all gave me a pitiful look, their eyes filled with something they refused to put into words, as if they were scared of breaking devastating news to me. Despite Zach's absence, I was treated with utmost respect, almost like a princess. But that night, as I sat by my window, lost in thought, my door creaked open. Lucas, Zach's right-hand man, stood there, his expression unreadable. "Good evening, ma'am," he said, his voice calm yet urgent. "I'm sorry, but you need to come with me. There's something you must see." A strange chill ran down my spine, but I nodded and silently followed him. He led me through the dimly lit corridors of the mansion, past familiar halls, and into a part of the estate I had never ventured into before. The air grew colder. The scent of rust and something metallic filled my nostrils, making my stomach churn. Finally, Lucas stopped in front of a large iron door. He exhaled before pushing it open. The sight before me stole the breath from my lungs. My heart pounded violently as I took a step forward, my legs trembling. And that was when I realized this was my first true test. My first terrifying mission to save Zach. To be continued.